Ladies and gentlemen, before the world speaks to you, make sure you speak to yourself. Because if your first conversation of the day is with doubt, fear, regret, or pain, then your day is already no longer yours. So I invite you to pause, not for the world, not for your job, not for your phone, but for yourself. Because the first voice you heard should anchor you, not shake you. Let us begin, ladies and gentlemen. Expectations. The very first voice you hear each day holds incredible power. Before the phone screen lights up, before emails start to arrive, before the demands of the world crash upon your mind like waves, there is a moment, a quiet, sacred space, where you have a choice. In that space, you decide whether your day begins with clarity or confusion, strength or stress, intention or reaction. Your first conversation should be with yourself. Expectations, because that conversation sets the internal compass by which the rest of your day will unfold. Most people wake up and immediately reach outward. They look at notifications, absorb the opinions of others, let the news or social media dictate how they feel. From the very start, their attention is hijacked, their mood is determined by external forces, and soon enough, they begin reacting to life instead of creating it. Expectations, but those who walk the path of awareness, of discipline and presence, know that the most important conversation is not with the world, but with the self. The mind, like a garden, requires deliberate tending. If you don't plant strong seeds, weeds will grow by default. Speaking to yourself in the morning is not about affirmations for the sake of repetition. It is about grounding. Expectations. It is about remembering who you are before the world tells you who to be. You are not your stress, your to-do list, your unfinished tasks, or the expectations that others carry for you. You are the stillness behind all of that. And when you start your day by meeting yourself in that stillness, with breath, with clarity, with conscious thought, you reclaim your power. Expectations. Telling yourself the right things doesn't mean you ignore reality or pretend everything is perfect. It means you take responsibility for your internal world. Expectations. You choose to feed your mind with strength before doubt can settle in. You choose peace before chaos has a chance to knock. You speak gently to yourself before anyone else has a chance to speak harshly. This internal dialogue is not selfish. It is sacred. Expectations. Because the way you speak to yourself becomes the way you carry yourself. And the way you carry yourself becomes the way you live. If your first words to yourself are, "I'm not ready," "I'm tired," or "this day is going to be hard," then that energy sets the tone for what follows. But if your first words are, "I am present," "I am capable," or "today is a new chance," you activate a different frequency within your body and mind. The words you choose are not just sounds. They are instructions to the subconscious. They are the script you hand your mind to perform. And the mind, expectations, ever obedient, will follow the direction you give it. Your first conversation is also where you reconnect with your purpose. Expectations. When you start your day with silence, reflection, or focused intention, you're not wasting time, you're sharpening your edge. Expectations. You're aligning yourself with what matters most, so that your actions during the day come from a place of alignment, not anxiety. This practice is simple, expectations, but it requires consistency. It means choosing 5 minutes for yourself over 5 minutes of scrolling. Expectations. It means being mindful of the tone you use with yourself, and treating that inner voice not as a critic but as a guide. Expectations. The world will always try to speak louder than your soul. It will flood you with noise, urgency and distraction. Expectations. But if your first voice of the day is your own, you begin from a place of authority rather than submission. You remind yourself that you are not here to just survive the day, but to meet it with presence, strength, and awareness. In this way, expectations, the first conversation becomes a quiet revolution, not visible to the world, but powerful enough to transform how you move through it. Expectations. Ladies and gentlemen, there will be days when you feel unstoppable, when the sun rises and your heart beats with fire. Expectations. When the goals seem clear and the energy flows effortlessly. But there will also be days when the fire is gone, when your mind feels heavy, when the bed feels warmer than your purpose, and when everything inside you wants to delay, to rest, to escape. On those days, if you rely only on motivation, you will fall, because motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unstable, unpredictable, and temporary. Discipline, on the other hand, is a commitment that doesn't care how you feel. Discipline is greater than motivation. Motivation is like the spark of a match. It flares up quickly, burns bright for a moment, and then fades unless things sustains it. You may feel motivated after watching a powerful video or hearing an inspiring quote, expectations, but that moment passes. The real question is what remains after the inspiration fades. What keeps you moving when the excitement is gone? Expectations. When the audience isn't watching, and when the results haven't shown up yet, that answer is discipline. Expectations. Discipline is the internal system that doesn't need to be convinced every morning. It doesn't negotiate with your laziness or your fear. It simply shows up. A disciplined person doesn't wait for perfect conditions. They train when it rains. They write when the words don't come easily. They show up to work when their mood is low. Because they have already decided, long before the moment, who they are and what they will do. Discipline is not about being robotic. It's about being rooted. It's about anchoring yourself so deeply in your commitment that distractions, doubts, and emotional storms cannot uproot you. You become a force. Not because you always feel good, but because you always honor your path. Expectations. The reason discipline is rare is because it's not glamorous. It doesn't always feel rewarding in the moment. Expectations. There is no applause for waking up early when no one sees it. There is no celebration for doing the hard work in silence. But over time, those small silent actions compound into massive transformation. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. It builds your character. Expectations. It sharpens your mind. It develops a trust within yourself, because you know you will follow through, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. People often ask how to stay motivated. The better question is how to become disciplined enough that you don't need motivation. The disciplined mind doesn't chase mood. It creates structure. Expectations. It creates a routine that holds you even when you feel weak. The mind becomes sharp not by doing something once, but by repeating it until it becomes who you are. The disciplined mind is not loud. It is consistent, and consistency beats intensity every single time. Expectations. When you train yourself to choose discipline over motivation, you take control of your life. You stop waiting to feel like doing the work. You simply do the work. You don't look for inspiration. You create it. You don't need validation. You have direction. Motivation is about feeling. Discipline is about decision. And once you decide who you are, you no longer need to keep asking. You act, you move, you show up. Expectations. That's what separates the dreamers from the doors, the hopeful from the accomplished, the interested from the committed. In the end, expectations. The life you want will not be built in moments of motivation. It will be built brick by brick, through daily acts of discipline. Many of them boring, many of them lonely, and most of them unseen. But that is the path of mastery. That is the path of transformation. Expectations. And that is the path for those who are done waiting for a feeling to determine their future. Expectations. Ladies and gentlemen, in a world that constantly fights for your attention, your mind becomes the most valuable territory. Everything you allow in, every word, image, belief, or opinion, has the power to shape your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Expectations. This is why understanding that you are the gatekeeper of your mind is one of the most powerful realizations you can have. Expectations. You are not just a receiver of thoughts, you are the filter. You decide what enters, what stays, and what must be rejected. Your mental environment is your responsibility, and no one can protect it but you. The thoughts that dominate your mind create the reality you live in. If you let fear, doubt, or negativity take root, it will not take long before they begin to cloud your decisions, your actions, and your sense of self. But those thoughts do not arrive without permission. They enter when the gate is left open, unguarded by awareness and intention. When you are passive, expectations, the world will pour its noise into your head. But when you are conscious, you choose what is worthy of your attention, and what is not. Being the gatekeeper of your mind means you don't absorb everything that is said to you or about you. Not every opinion deserves a place in your inner world. Not every voice is qualified to speak into your life. People will project their fears, their limits, their beliefs onto you. If you are not vigilant, those projections can become your truth. But a strong gatekeeper listens, evaluates, and then decides, does this serve me or sabotage me? Does it uplift me or diminish me? This role also applies to the content you consume. Every scroll, every video, Every headline you read is feeding your mind something. If you constantly take in drama, fear, or comparison, expectations, don't be surprised when your inner world becomes chaotic. What you feed your mind is what you begin to think. What you think shapes how you feel, and how you feel guides how you act. Guarding your mind is not about denial. It's about discernment. Expectations. It's about choosing carefully what you expose yourself to because you understand the power of influence. Being the gatekeeper means creating mental boundaries. It means recognizing when a thought doesn't belong to you, when a belief has been inherited from fear, or when a story you tell yourself is outdated. Not every thought deserves to be believed. Some are echoes from a painful past. Some are lies dressed as logic. Expectations. Your job is to question them, challenge them, and choose deliberately which thoughts you will water, and which you will starve. The thoughts you feed become stronger. The ones you neglect lose their grip. This role requires awareness, but it also requires courage. Because sometimes, expectations, being the gatekeeper means closing the gate on people you love who constantly drain you. It means turning away from trends that do not align with your truth. It means walking a path of mental discipline that others may not understand. But protecting your peace is not selfish. It is sacred. When your mind is clear, your life becomes clear. When your mind is stable, your decisions carry power. When your mind is calm, your presence becomes healing. You cannot control what others say, what the world broadcasts, or how life unfolds. But you can always control what you allow to stay in your mind. Expectations. You have the right to reject fear, to cancel out noise, and to replace weakness with strength. You have the ability to silence the inner critic and amplify the inner guide. That is the role of the gatekeeper. To protect, to filter, and to strengthen expectations. And when you step into that role fully, you no longer live as a victim of your mind. You rise as the master of it. Ladies and gentlemen, in a world that constantly tells you to do more, achieve more, and become more to be considered enough, expectations, there's a quiet truth that gets buried beneath all the noise. Peace and worth come from within. You do not need external approval to feel whole. You do not need to be liked, followed, praised, or applauded to be valuable. True peace is not found in achievements or possessions, expectations. It is found in the stillness within you, in the calm realization that nothing outside can truly define who you are. When you seek peace outside of yourself, you hand over your power. You start to believe that a certain relationship, status, title, or number will finally make you feel fulfilled. But the more you chase those things, the more exhausted you become. Because every external form is temporary. Applause fades. Attention shifts. People change. Expectations. And if your sense of worth is tied to those things, your identity becomes fragile. Expectations. You begin to live like a mirror, only reflecting what others see in you, instead of being like a light, radiating from within regardless of who's watching. Expectations. Peace is not something to be found. It's something to be uncovered. It's already there, beneath the noise of the mind. Expectations. Beneath the expectations of the world, it exists in the moments when you stop pretending, when you stop performing, and when you simply allow yourself to be. Expectations. It's in the breath you take when no one needs anything from you. It's in the silence you embrace, when you're not trying to prove anything. Expectations. Peace is the natural state of a heart that no longer battles with its own value. Your worth does not increase when you succeed. Expectations. And it does not decrease when you fail. You were worthy the moment you were born, and nothing you do will ever change that. Society conditions us to measure ourselves through comparison. How much we make, how we look, who notices us. But that lens is broken, because no external scale can measure the internal truth of your being. Worth is not a reward for performance. It is a recognition of existence. Expectations. You matter not because of what you do, but because of who you are. When you stop outsourcing your sense of worth, you begin to reclaim your freedom. You stop needing validation from others to feel okay. You stop letting criticism or praise control your emotions. You move from dependency to sovereignty. You stop asking the world, "Am I enough?" and instead affirm, "I have always been enough." That shift creates a foundation that cannot be shaken. Expectations. Because when your peace comes from within, no chaos outside can take it away. It's not easy. It requires unlearning years of conditioning. It requires facing parts of yourself that you were told were not good enough. It means choosing silence over noise, stillness over distraction, expectations, presence over performance. But as you begin to reconnect with yourself, to listen to your inner voice, and to nurture your own spirit, expectations, something profound happens. You stop chasing peace, and you start living in it. You stop seeking worth, and you begin to embody it. Expectations. Peace does not mean your life will be free from storms. It means you carry a calm center within you that the storm cannot touch. Worth does not mean you are perfect. It means you are complete, even with your imperfections. When you recognize that both peace and worth are inner qualities, not external goals, you begin to live differently. You no longer try to earn rest. You realize it is your birthright. Expectations. You no longer try to prove yourself. You simply express yourself. And that inner shift becomes the greatest liberation of all. Ladies and gentlemen, growth never arrives wrapped in comfort. It does not come softly, with convenience or ease. It comes disguised as discomfort, wrapped in challenges, laced with resistance, and carried through difficulty. Growth requires a disturbance to what is familiar, a shake to what is stable, and a test of what you believe to be your limit. Discomfort is not a punishment, it is a teacher. It is the fire through which strength is forged, expectations, the pressure through which potential is revealed, and the path through which true transformation begins. From the outside, growth can appear beautiful, new achievements, increased confidence, better habits, deeper peace. But the inner process behind it often feels like breaking. It is uncomfortable to face your fears. It is painful to let go of old beliefs. It is difficult to be disciplined when your body wants ease. Expectations. It's unsettling to be honest with yourself about your weaknesses. But it is precisely that discomfort that leads to expansion. Comfort may feel good in the moment, but it rarely demands anything from you. Discomfort demands attention, presence, and change. And through that demand, expectations, it awakens the parts of you that have been asleep. When everything in your life feels easy and predictable, chances are you're not growing. You might be maintaining, coasting, surviving, but growth requires friction. Just as muscles grow only when pushed beyond their limit, the mind, heart, expectations, and spirit grow only when stretched beyond what they already know. It's in the unfamiliar that you learn new strength. Expectations. It's in the difficult that you uncover new resilience. Each challenge presents a mirror, reflecting back not who you are now, but who you can become if you endure. Most people resist discomfort because they interpret it as a sign that something is wrong. But in truth, expectations, it is often a sign that something important is happening. Discomfort shows up when you break out of old patterns. It appears when you stop running from your pain and begin to confront it. It rises when you decide to heal, evolve, or step into a higher version of yourself. Expectations, and the more willing you are to sit with it, the more powerful you become. Because through discomfort, expectations, you meet parts of yourself that comfort will never introduce you to. Discomfort humbles the ego. It forces you to slow down, to reflect, to become intentional. Expectations, it reveals what you truly value, what you're willing to fight for, and what you're ready to let go of. Without it, you stay stuck in illusion. You remain attached to false identities, unhealthy cycles, and fear-based decisions. But when discomfort enters, and you don't run from it, you gain clarity. Expectations, you begin to understand that the pain is not the enemy. It is the path. It is there to shape you, to refine you, to wake you up. Expectations, those who grow the most are not those who seek comfort, but those who are willing to endure temporary pain for long-term power. Expectations, they are the ones who show up to train when it hurts, who speak the truth even when their voice shakes, who take the step even when the ground is not steady. Expectations, they have learned that the discomfort of growth is far better than the regret of staying the same. They don't wait to feel ready. They trust that discomfort is the invitation to rise. Every time you step into discomfort, you strengthen your capacity. Expectations, you expand what's possible. You stretch what you believe you can handle. And slowly, the things that once felt overwhelming become manageable. Expectations, the fears that once paralyzed you become fuel. The wounds that once hurt become wisdom. This is the silent, unseen gift of discomfort. It transforms not only your life, but your character. You begin to walk not as someone afraid of pain, but as someone shaped by it. Expectations, you no longer see struggle as a sign to stop, but as a sign that you are exactly where you need to be. Ladies and gentlemen, every day you wake up, you are handed a pen. That pen is invisible, yet powerful. It writes in thoughts, decisions, habits, and actions. Expectations, whether you realize it or not, you are always writing something. The question is, are you writing with intention? Or are you letting someone else write your story for you? You are the author of your reality. No one else can take that role unless you hand it over. Expectations. Your life is not a script to be followed. It is a book being written, and the next chapter is still blank. Many people live as if their story is already finished, as if their circumstances have been set in stone. They accept roles they never chose, expectations, repeat patterns they never questioned, and carry beliefs that were never truly theirs. They become characters in someone else's narrative, living on autopilot, reacting instead of creating. But authors do not react, they create. They design. They decide what belongs and what doesn't. Expectations. And when you begin to see yourself as the author of your own reality, you reclaim a level of power that most people never touch. Expectations. Being the author does not mean you control every event in your life. You cannot always control what happens to you. Expectations. But you always control how you interpret it, how you respond to it, and how you allow it to shape your identity. Expectations. You get to decide whether your failures become fuel or fear. You get to decide whether your pain becomes your prison or your power. Expectations. The meaning you assign to life's events is the ink you use to write your story. That meaning is not given to you. You choose it. Expectations. When you see yourself as the author, you stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for the perfect time, the perfect person. Expectations. Or the perfect condition to change your life. You begin where you are, with what you have. Expectations. Because you understand that your story begins the moment you decide to write it. This mindset transforms you from a passive observer to an active creator. Expectations. You no longer ask, why is this happening to me? Instead you ask, what will I do with this moment? That shift changes everything. Expectations. The author's mindset also brings responsibility. You can no longer blame your past, your environment, or other people for where you are. That may sound harsh, but it is deeply empowering. Because the moment you stop blaming, you start building. You begin to edit what no longer serves you. You cut out what's toxic. You rewrite the beliefs that limit you. You introduce new habits, new goals, and new standards. You begin to craft a reality that reflects who you truly are, not who you were told to be. Every thought is a sentence. Every decision is a paragraph. Expectations. Every day is a new page. What you repeat becomes a theme. What you focus on becomes a chapter. And over time, those chapters build a life. Expectations. If you are not proud of the last chapter, don't cling to it. Turn the page. Start fresh. You are never stuck, no matter how many pages you've written. Expectations. The beauty of being the author is that reinvention is always in your hands. You are not bound to the character you used to be. Expectations. Living as the author of your reality means embracing both the freedom and the responsibility to create something meaningful. Expectations. It means choosing thoughts that empower, actions that align, and beliefs that elevate. It means refusing to let fear write the next sentence. Expectations. It means showing up even when the story is uncertain. It means owning your voice, trusting your path. Expectations. And realizing that your reality is not something you find. It's something you shape. Expectations. The moment you understand that your life is your book and your choices are the words, you begin to write with purpose, with strength, and with unwavering clarity.